Hello again, everyone. It's Tom Lamog. Welcome to session 6 of Songwriters Bootcamp, where we're focusing on the elements of music and songwriting. Now, as a volunteer instructor at Guitars for Vets Cyber Chapter with CavArts, we put forth a lot of really cool educational content and some entertaining content as well too. Today, I've got a couple of guests who are going to be a part of our songwriters panel, who have been on our show Song Sung True, a veteran's view. They are actively performing, songwriting, recording. I'll introduce them to you here shortly. I've also got one of our fellow instructors, a chapter coordinator from the Salem, Oregon chapter, who is also taken off on a path of songwriting, and he's going to be joining us as well too. But for now, you should know for the next hour and a half, we're going to refer back to Andrea Stolpe's Becoming a Songwriter, the course guide, the videos, chapters 3, 4, and 5. And in the next 90 minutes, we're going to be focusing on chord progressions, creating melodies, developing a structure for your verses and choruses, exploring rhythm and groove. So to get us started, I'm not going to hold back now. I'm going to continue on, and because I'm excited to have them. First of all, let me bring back Matt Jones. Now, you may know Matt. Matt has been on our show a couple of times already, has already put himself out there saying, hey, as a songwriter, if you need help, I'm happy. I'm just curious, Matt. Have you been has anyone taken you up on your offer of actually approaching you and asking you for some input on songwriting?
I've been busy.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I've gotten a couple of emails, read through lyrics, and then kind of, make some suggestions here and there, when it comes to like verse, chorus, bridge, changing kind of the groove in the bridge so it gives the listener something different to hear for a small portion of time and then come right back into your original, groove. I'm helping Ken with, kind of mix and master a song that him and a buddy of his wrote. I'm doing some stuff with, Bree Steiner. I'm still doing Matthew's Anthem and all that stuff. But yeah, I've been busy. People are sending me emails, so that's what I want.
Well, we appreciate you being a part of this. This is it's what I'm finding is this is not a slam dunk process or one size fits all. It's like these are truly individual efforts, each with their own way of approaching things. So I can see how you are busy juggling or helping to, put the puzzle pieces in for each of the individuals who come to you, and for yourself, for your own songwriting.
Oh yeah, there was working on a song with Ken. Ken was hearing things that I wasn't hearing, and I'm like, I can't hear it. So I had to walk away from it for a couple of days and then come back with some fresh ears, be like, oh, okay, I think I hear it now, So it's a process, in creating something really cool, take your time, do it, If it's not how you want it to sound, it's not ready.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, I'm going to bring on Allen Christi, who has also been on Song Sung True, and we've interviewed him. He's talked about his music, and Joe has been gracious enough to set aside time for today's boot camp session. Joe had brought up to me in a conversation that we had yesterday about the importance of collaboration. Funny that you're talking about that now, Matt, but hey, Joe, how are you today? Thanks for joining us.
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me today. I appreciate it. And I always love talking about songwriting. It's one of my passions, and I'm just glad that you asked me to join.
Oh, yeah, you bet. So let's talk a little bit about that collaboration process.
Sure,
There
sure.
are times where it's kind of like, yeah, I'd like to write songs on my own, but what value comes with collaboration, in your opinion?
For me, it's using your strength. It's like for me, I'm more of a lyricist. Of course, I play guitar and all that, but I'm not the greatest when it comes to music theory and all that. So usually I collaborate. I like to collaborate with somebody that is really experienced with the music part, and I just think the music with the lyrics, if you're using each other's strengths, it just makes the song that much better.
It's so true. I got to tell you, man, there are times where it's taken me months, sometimes years, to get that song together, and someone I share it with out of the blue is kind of like, "Hey, I got some ideas for that." All of a sudden, the song's done. I don't,
Yeah, a great example of that one. I just released a song. It's called "Burning Down Small Town USA." I had written three verses in July of 22, I believe,
Mhm.
and this past, I think it was November, I shared it with a friend, and we finished it in 45 minutes because he was able to help me with one line, and it just we finished it, and the music, of course, but yeah, it's just one of those things.
I'm so excited to have you on this journey with us because you talk about so many things about songwriting, particularly how intimate it is to you and how you want certain lyrics to be presented in a way that if it doesn't meet your standard.
Yeah,
Same with the melodies. It's the same thing. It's kind of like if it doesn't meet my standard, I'm not going to release it. So,
exactly.
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. Let me bring on our other guest, who is David Welch. And David, how are you? Thank you for making time for us as well, too, Mr. Chapter Coordinator, among other things. Yeah, I know leading off some things. Was the VFW out there in Salem, Oregon, that you're
Yeah,
also involved with?
yes, I'm a district commander for 11 VFW posts in Oregon also. So I do that. I run the Salem, Oregon Guitars for Vets chapter and do a little bit of writing and do a little bit of instructing. So, yeah.
Now, a little bit of writing, and you're up to how many songs now that you've written?
Uh, 20 that I'm okay with that I like.
Wow, we're definitely going to pick your brain, particularly when it comes to melodies and connecting them to lyrics. And
Hmm.
I guess my first question to the group, I might as well pose the first question is, do you sing in the shower?
100%.
Oh yeah.
Oh, I'm
That's
gonna
not
tell
really
you
nice.
right now, I creeped the heck out of my wife the other night. I, for some reason, got some corn song stuck in my head. And I'm in the shower, like, "Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah," and she's like, "What's going on in there?" I'm like,
Oh,
"I'm sorry, my bad. Did not know you could hear me."
well, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I can see that. Well, that was not really the first question. Let me take care of some housekeeping first, all right, and then we'll go ahead and jump right in. First of all, let me make sure that you all know the tips that we do typically at the start of the show. The objective of part two is to review the sections of the course guide, and of course, we all know becoming a songwriter. Andrea Stolpe was so kind enough to post her knowledge and expertise and her resources online, and Guitar Vets Learning Center immediately gravitated towards that. And that's what we're basically using as the basis of our discussion. So if you haven't taken a look at that, definitely go to the G4V Learning Center under songwriting. Make sure to get a copy of the materials. We're covering chapters 13 through 16, maybe chapter 17. So we're coming up really to the end of the workshop itself in another couple of weeks. We're going to talk through the different ways to approach um, putting the different music elements, and that would be chord structure, rhythm and groove, right? We're talking about melody, and we're talking, really, just everything that's musical related to putting those to lyrics. And fortunately, with the help of these three gentlemen, they'll not only help us talk through and maybe navigate some of the things that Andrea is talking about, but also speak from their professional and their songwriting experience as well too. So again, if you are not wanting to be on camera, make sure to take the shutter on your camera, close it, or just go into the zoom setting and turn off the camera setting. Use the chat feature today. We're going to collect the comments and the questions, try and get to them as quickly as we can. And I definitely encourage you to participate. We're going to be doing, again, some demonstrations. Take that guitar, make sure it's all in tune. We're going to run through a few things. So we want this to also be an interactive thing. So now that's the housekeeping stuff. Let me go on to the guest panel again. First question, and I'm going to start with you, Matt. Let me start with you. How important is coming up with the right chord structure for your style of songwriting?
I mean, well, I always kind of have this kind of internal, just like groove, when I'm thinking of words. I mean, to me, I mean, it's important because I want to capture the message that I'm trying to portray in the lyrics with the music. So, in a way, you have to make someone kind of feel how you felt when you were writing it. So it's I mean, it can be difficult, but then sometimes that lightning bolt happens, and it's like you try one thing, and it's like that fits perfect, so you stick with it and you just figure out how you're gonna make the groove out of those chords and kind of accent wherever you can to kind of give it some unique sounds that get people kind of following along with it. It's important, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. How? Let's say, Joe, I'm going to give this one to you. Let me just give this one to you. Get the everyone involved with this. How do you know when chords fit and sound well together? So when your songs, you start putting a song together and you start experimenting, how do you know that these chords that you're picking fit and that they will complement each other?
So for me, I there's a little bit of music theory into it. Like for me, I know a little bit of the Nashville number system. I always rely on that when I'm writing a song. A lot of times for me, my lyrics the first line of a lyric will come, and then I'll start trying to put music to it. For me, if you use a Nashville number system, and if you guys don't know what it's familiar with, it's kind of what they use in Nashville to record music. And if you're using a major, how to say it, in using major, basically it's the 1-4-5 of a chord progression. So if the chord progression is starting on C, then number one is going to be your C, and then D, E, F would be your 4, and your 5 would be G. So that's kind of how I have a cheat sheet because I don't have it memorized. But yeah, and then just play it, see how it feels. It does, just because you're in a major key, it doesn't mean that you can't write a sad song in it. It's just a lot of it has to do with how you're playing it. And then when you come to the bridge or whatever, you may be using you throw in some minors to just throw a little bit of a change in there. But it's all just about playing the chords together and seeing how they feel. But to save time, that's kind of what I do. Is I go through I use the Nashville number system and I look at the chords that way.
Hey, I don't know. I just shared my screen here. Can you see this is the chord family chart that
Yeah.
Joe's making reference to. Remember, he was talking about the numbers 1, 4, and 5. If you all can see this chart, and this is something that we've posted on the G4V Learning Center, this is what the number system that Joe's referring to. You've got the 1 and the 4 and the 5. They're typically majors, and then the 2
Yep.
and the 3 are the minors. But we'll do a deeper dive on that. But hopefully everyone had a chance to take a look at this chart while we were kind of like in between sessions 5 and 6. But yeah, Joe, that's awesome. I know I use that as well too. It's quite popular.
Yeah.
Put structure and organization around the chords that you select.
Exactly.
So great, and let me now go to David. And we talked about this at our planning meeting yesterday about rules that dictate which chords can and can't be used. And you had an interesting response to that. But first of all, David, tell me your thoughts on are there rules that dictate which you can and can't use?
Yes and no. There's rules that, if you go to college and take music theory 101 and so on, they'll tell you, like this numbering system, which is the major key, to play songs in a major key. But realistically, your biggest thing is to use your ears. That's the biggest thing. You can, a lot of time, I'll write chord progressions and write songs, and it's because I'm playing a few chords, maybe you taking an A chord and going, hey, I like that A chord, but I want it to be slightly different. What if I make it an A7 instead of an A chord? Oh, that's the tone I kind of want in this song. So I'll do that. And then maybe later on, I'll go through and find out what I music theoretically did that I didn't realize I was doing, kind of thing, just for the heck of it, kind of thing. But a lot of times you can find, especially if you're playing on the guitar, you can find relations to chords and patterns that you're already doing on the fretboard. and use that, and then come back and you can use the educated answer. Most of, I think what you're referring to yesterday, that we talked about, is most musicians that we grew up that became famous didn't know music theory, didn't know how to write sheet music, didn't know how to do whatever. You got people, bands like the Beatles, Nirvana, freaking, you can go down the list. These guys wrote hit songs that still sustain through time, but they couldn't tell you, okay, writing in the minor key of C, what are the following chords that I would use and what numbering pattern would that be? They couldn't tell you that crap. They just
Yeah.
said, hey, I
This is
like
what
a C note.
it's
I
all
like a C
feel.
note. And then I think
Uh-huh.
after the C note, we should move it up in a way. Let's elevate it to maybe an F. And then we can shoot it back down to a B note kind of thing. They worked in grooves and melodies versus some kind of educated what numbering system or what friggin' college
Right. And
education music theory is
it
going to work.
becomes it becomes less technical. It's like, okay, yeah, one flatted third and a minor fourth. And it's kind of like, what? Does the average listener really, go to that level? No. There's a lot of feel that's involved, a lot of rhythm and groove that's a part of that. Go ahead, Matt.
I will say that I am one of those, somewhat relative nerd types. Like I do use the 1-3-4 minor 5 or the 1-4-5 minor 6 numbering in it. Although it's not like, it may not be what I want it to sound like, it gets me in the ballpark. Now I'm at the plate and I'm taking a swing, and now I can kind of take that and, manipulate it how I want. So,
Yeah, those are kind of like the ground rules. In a
yeah.
sense, we all know the rules of engagement, if you will. And if you apply the rules and then grow from there, then take it from there, you can step outside of, the rules for certain
Yeah.
things. But definitely it's just used as guidance. Let's talk about music theory. I want to get this in here because now that David and Joe has started, music theory, is it a necessity? Because now answer correctly, because the students our aspiring songwriters are listening. Is it a necessity when it comes to creating chord progressions? Joe, let me go back to you on this. Can
Yeah.
you elaborate on that?
Yeah, absolutely not. You don't need to know theory to write a song. A lot of times when I first started, I've been playing live shows and my music theory's gotten better. It's not great, so I know where to go rely to. But another thing that I've done when I first started, I didn't know what chords to put together. I went on Ultimate Guitar and I looked at a song and I said, okay, these are the chords they're using. So let me pull those chords and use those chords to write a song. You know what I mean? So you don't have to know theory. You can just find a tab chart to a song and just pull those chords, and they're more than likely going to go together. So
And here's the thing too, is that they're what, 12 chords, at least, the ones that were 12 keys within
yep,
the scale itself. Chances are real good that combination of chords has already been used. It's the
yep,
lyrics and the melody that distinguish it as being,
absolutely.
unique.
I was gonna
So
say, I
yeah,
think there's a famous lawsuit case that just established some of that,
another one.
just in the last few years. Yeah, the Ed Sheeran case where he went on a bunch of news channels and
Uh-huh.
stuff, and basically was like, "Here, give me a name of a song. I'll play it with these four chords," kind of thing.
Exactly.
And
Yeah,
he basically established, to the public, hey, you only got so many options here. It's not like
exactly.
there's a billion different notes in the music alphabet. You got 12 notes to
Yeah,
work with.
exactly. Matt, let me go to you with music there. I know you were like, it's almost like an adamant no. Get out of here, Tom.
Almost,
No.
almost
What,
like an
yeah,
addict. No.
it's
See, I
understandable.
was over here like, nope, I've never used music theory for absolutely anything.
What's
I,
that? What is music
I
theory?
do think that as you continue to progress in your, just playing music, you're gonna inherently learn some portion of music theory. Um, I don't think it's necessary, but I also think that would have to align with what your goals are. If you're trying to play classical music, then yes, music theory is going to be important. If you're trying to pick the guitar up and just be, the next Joe Allen Christi or the next David Welch or, the next, bearded Sasquatch you see on the screen, like if you're doing that, you don't need to know music theory. Just get out there and
There's a
play with what
lot.
you know.
When you say
So
music, yeah, when we talk about music theory, hey, I'm sorry, give me a moment here. Let me just reach for that book that we all kind of went through, right? The best music theory book for beginners. This is something that we did last year at the book club. But if you decide you want to get into music theory and learn all of the different things that there is, I mean, it doesn't hurt, but it's not required, kind of a thing. It's good to know that these concepts, these theories exist, and how you can apply it. Because at some point in time, it's kind of like, you know what, I'm bored of writing the same old thing. I need inspiration. This might be a way to kind of inspire you further. Just learning a few different new techniques, kind of like chords. It's kind of like once you outgrow playing open chords, and just like David was talking about, we start to experiment with like seventh chords or seventh plus ninth or diminished or sustained. I mean, it's the natural progression. You want to sound unique. You want to make sure you maximize the chords that are out there to invoke emotion into your songs. And that's all part of that process. So now that we've filled everyone's head in the first 30 minutes with some awesome discussion here, let's talk about the homework assignment that we talked about last week. And that assignment was pairing up two chords. Okay, two chords, and just you didn't have to strum, just kind of like just play them in your style of songwriting. Maybe you can demonstrate how you might pursue looking at chords or identifying chords.
So I mean, I like sad sounding music. It's just it is what it is. So I'll typically start with like a minor, and then go to a major. So I was like, well, if I stick with something like that, I can run a finger picking pattern on like a E minor, go to a C. And I can accent it if I want to.
And you're just pulling these chords out, right? They're just like, I like this. I like this.
Yeah.
I'll try that. It's just improvising, right?
Yep.
It's just starting with nothing.
Kind of like if I like how the E minor sounds and I don't want to change it, the C. Kind of manipulate that.
Is that there you go. Now, is that part of a song that you're working on right now, or is you're just running through an exercise right now?
But I mean, it gives me an opportunity to kind of just get a little bit of a groove and then add some stuff, like harmonics. So
The toys.
Now you're just showing off.
Yeah, and again, the point here
showing off.
is it's like you're starting with nothing, right? You really start with nothing, and then you gradually start to build upon that, and it's like, oh, this sounds pretty good. Joe, you want to give it a try? Why don't you tell us a couple of chords, or maybe just walk through the chord structure with us and
Don't show off now.
I won't. I ain't doing no finger picking. No, like it's just like this. One of my favorite songs is that from Tracy Lawrence. Is called "Time Marches On," and it's just a G, E minor. And like a lot of times, you can always make those two chords interesting just by hitting the bass note. That's a G and a C at 9. So it doesn't I know there's songs out there that's been done with two chords. So yeah, there's so many options out there. You can make it dynamic as you want, and yeah.
Yeah, and again, you're just pulling from random selection of chords. I wanted to bring up the chord family chart again. Just so everyone knows kind of, what we're following in the way of picking chords out. So, David, let's see. Let's go back to your song here, and taking a look at the chord family chart again. They were which chords?
Well, it would be it would be it would be an E sharp minor and a what was it a G over C a C sharp over G sharp chord.
So we'll say it was E minor over and C. E
Yeah,
minor and
but
C.
keep it on the first fret so that
Okay.
shifts everything.
We'll
Yeah,
use the open chord shapes.
yeah,
We'll just take that for this particular exercise. E minor and a C, right?
yep,
So E minor it appears like here on the chord chart. Everyone see the chord chart? You got the E minor and a C. So possibly in the chord of C or the key of C.
see,
So if, say, for instance, you wanted to write a song with those same chords, guess what? You could also use these other chords within this chord family, right? That makes sense? So not only are C and E minor available, but you can play an F or a G. So David, do me a favor. Can you don't have to play the song, but just
yeah,
strum through those chords and let's hear what it sounds like.
okay.
Call out the chord names. Call them out.
Okay. So E minor, A minor, D minor, G, C, E minor, F, E minor.
Oh, this is your key, by the way. I remember you telling me C is your key.
Yeah.
Very good.
I don't know.
So
That's just some random chords.
there you go. So for our aspiring songwriters, this is how the chart can be used. The chord family chart can be used. Matt, let's go back to that song you were working on as well too. And maybe you can tell us the chords that you were playing again, and let's see if we could figure this one out. You were playing some, or if you want to just randomly select chords, and then we can guess what key your song is in. But I want the group, if you can call out the chords as you're playing them, and I want the class to just look at the chord chart and find, where those chords and which key they might be associated with, and then
Okay.
we'll pick it up from there.
I'll just go at the top here. So we'll
All
start
right.
C.
All right.
C. So D minor. E minor. F. Play as a bar. G.
Sounds great.
G7.
Sounds great.
A minor. But you can be like,
And these are all chords within the key of C, right?
yep.
All right. Hey Joe, it's your turn. You want to pick a key, and then let's just demonstrate for the group that it's this easy. Could it be that easy to pick chords that all sound great? Go ahead and call out the chord names as well too as you play them.
Sure. Let's see. A. I'm sorry. A. You got G. I'm sorry. D. A. G. And D. And that's not necessarily 1, 4, 5, but you can see how it goes together.
Okay. So if you as the community of attendees today, our students, if you were to see A, G, and D in this particular exercise, you might gravitate towards the key of D.
Yeah.
You might.
Yeah, and actually that was key of G, sorry.
Oh, okay. You can also, well, if you're playing an A, were you playing an A major?
Yeah, A major, yeah.
Well, I may have to stay. Well, I mean, there's no real rule here, but if you were to use the chord family, you can use an A major in the key of G. Just
Yeah.
know that it's not like one of the chords you typically go to, but it distinctively makes that song, you know, unique. So
Yeah.
again, this is an idea of breaking the rules a little bit and using it in a way that makes it interesting. So yeah, it could
Hey,
be D, it could be G.
Hey
Go
Tom,
ahead, man.
do we blow their minds by telling them that this is just one chord progression called the major key, and there's still the minor keys, and then there's still freaking idiom and domino or whatever freaking patterns of chords, and that's the
It
reason why if you listen to music in other parts of the world,
Yeah.
why it is that you can kind of tell which part of the world it's from
Oh,
when
you're
you hear
totally
the
geeking
music.
out. You're totally. I don't know. What's your email? What's your email address again? And if you want to send questions, send it to David. Well, that's the thing is that we're only looking at the major keys, right? Or the major scale itself, the keys and their major. If you want to do minor, yeah, we could definitely. What? In fact, here's what I'll tell you. I see, Matt. I'll tell you this. So the song that I shared with you earlier is in the key of A minor. So when I wrote the song itself, you're going to find that the majority of chords that I used are in the key of A minor. It's not anything that we were planning on covering today, but Matt, go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and pick up what you wanted is that you want
So
to share with
as I
us.
was watching these or looking at this stuff, I was like, well, there's a really well known song that uses almost every single one of these chords in the key of D. Right? And I'll
Oh,
tell
I
you.
know. I think I know which one. Oh yeah, that one. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm about ready to check out. I'm ready.
Honestly, when I heard Joe play, I thought he was playing. Should have seen it in color.
Oh yeah.
Think that we were scared to death.
Well, he
Just a
was.
couple kids.
Was it? Is it the same chords?
I think it might be. That's
See,
what like
it just
popped in
depends
my
where you're
head when I
capable.
heard Joe play. I was like, oh my gosh. I think it's picture in color.
Here you go. So here we are now. It's kind of like we've got these chords and it sounds like another song. It happens all the time, doesn't it? So chances are, as aspiring songwriters, if you yourselves think, oh, I've heard that before. Well, again, what's going to make it distinctive is the melody and your lyrics, right? And how you insert the emotional piece into that song. Those chords are going to be used probably by a whole bunch of other musical groups, musicians, and such. So make your lyrics and your melodies distinctive as you can. Okay, I think it's time for a musical break. So I would like to ask for a volunteer to, first of all, here's what you should know. Why don't you share with us how you came about the song itself? And then share a part of the lyrics if you can. And then tell us how you selected the chords and why you selected the chords. And if you still, if you still think that that chord progression is, yeah, I like it. I love it. I want some more of it. Oh, sorry. Any more of that. So who wants to volunteer first? Who's up? Who's up? Who wants to go?
I
David,
don't
you want to
mind.
jump?
Yeah.
No, Joe, you want to go first?
Sure, why
All
not?
right. So why don't you do this? Why don't you tell us which song that you're going to do? Share some of the lyrics with us,
Sure.
and then tell us about the selection of chords, and we're going to take a listen.
So yeah, this song is called 1984. It's something I just recently wrote and I've been working on. It's not completely finished yet. There's things I'm tweaking. But it just the song's basically about 1984, I was a kid. It was before when my mom and dad were still together, your grandpa's still alive. Everything's going good. It's like the year before everything kind of hits the fan, you know what I'm saying? In life. And that's kind of what it's about. And I just basically started off with the G and the C add 9, just and then the song's called 1984, so I'm just strumming. And then I've been thinking back to 1984 when we lived lived our life in and out that old screen door. And then you just go, and then you're like, us kids always had something to do. Mom still loved Dad and he loved her too. 1984. So kind of that's how you're just thinking, because a lot of this has come through like notes that I've taken. Like say I'm driving in my car when I shouldn't be on my phone, but I'm at a red light and I put so I don't forget it. I'll put something like the screen door. I've had this thing in my head for a long time. When we lived life in and out of an old screen door, when everybody used to have a screen door, and the main door was always open. You could see your neighbors to the screen door. I've had that written down for a long time, and I'm just trying to figure out where it kind of fits, kind of things like that. And yeah, that's so.
Yeah, again, the chords, they were major chords, weren't they? And a major ninth.
Yeah, they were major chords, except for there's an A minor in there, and a D7 at the end. Kind of thing.
So when you pick those chords out, what did you have an emotion in mind? Was there a feel that you were going for?
Yeah, it's more of a nostalgia kind of thing. And for instance, on the very last line, it says, "Mom still loved Dad," A minor, "and he loved her too." First, it started off as a D. It was a D chord, and then to make it more interesting, you make it kind of. You change it up, you know what I'm saying?
Variation.
You make it, you change it to a D7, or it's just something to make it a little bit more interesting and kind of give you something different.
Let me ask you this then. This is something that I know David had talked a little bit about earlier. Just simply, I can play the open chord. I can play an open G, right?
Yeah.
What happens if I lift the finger off? When you come into opportunities for chord variations, can you demonstrate what you do, how you do it? Instead of playing that open chord, you obviously went with something else. But maybe you can talk about that.
Yeah. So like I said, on one of these, like for instance, on that last line, it started off as a D. "Mom still loved Dad and he loved her too." It was a D, and then you can add a D7. It's really just playing around. You could lift the finger. If that's like an end of a chord or end of a verse, and then from there you can go start into the chorus. You know what I mean? So or if you're playing an E, you could pick up an E minor. You can pick up the top finger and just pick it up and put it down. If this is just the E minor, right? And if you pick up the top finger, you hear that little dynamics in it. So
love it.
As you start playing more, the more you, I'm assuming everybody's kind of new to guitar, so just try lifting a finger, and you don't even know what you're doing. Just see what sounds good.
Here, let's do this. So why don't you do this, everyone? In fact, let me just go. I'll bring my guitar here. So let's play a C. Everyone pick up your guitar. Let's play C. All right. Now, you got your open C chord that we taught you in your lessons, right? Now, what I want you to do is when you play the C chord, I want you to lift your second finger. Just lift it off. Take a listen. Then put your finger back on and make the full C chord. And then just go back and forth. All right? See what that sounds like? It's just one finger. Try another finger now. Let's take the first chord, or the first finger. Right?
Oh my gosh, Tom, I know another Nirvana song that does this exact same thing. All apologies. It's a C chord.
Yeah.
And then put your pinky down on the third string, third fret. There's your C7-ish. And then lift it up.
Yeah.
And then lift your second finger that's on the fourth string, second fret. So.
Yeah. Lifting fingers, placing them.
Everything's my fault. Yeah, that's a Nirvana song. Playing around with a C chord.
And he probably was kind of like, I'm just going to lift fingers. and then write a song around that. Now you can too. You know this technique. So here's something that I want you aspiring songwriters to experiment with. Take your open chords. Let's take a G chord. Let's lift one of the fingers off. I'm going to lift my third finger off. I'm going to lift my first finger off. After doing that, it's kind of like, I think I better mute that string with my my second finger. So experiment with the lifting your finger off and putting it back on, just like both Joe and David are talking about. Okay. All right. Well, Joe, thank you for the walkthrough on your song. And we might as well get your website in there. Where can people find your music, just so people know?
Yeah, you can go through my website, joeallenchristi.com, or find me on TikTok, Joe Allen Christi Music, or Instagram, all of that, places like that. I'm on Spotify and all that thing and all of that. So yeah, you can find me out there. And that was just the first verse of that song. So I just wanted to kind of demonstrate how the process through it. I've made several changes in the past few days too. So it's just one of those things where you just kind of get the feel for it and kind of put the lyrics. It's just a puzzle. It's really what it is.
It is. It's a puzzle that it's real gratifying as you start to add the pieces in, and then when it's done, and you share it with either your friends or family or your audience, if that's who you're writing for. I got to tell you, it's kind of like it's really cool to do that, and it's addicting. It's kind of like, I got to write another one. I'm ready to do another one and do this again.
It's emotional.
Yeah. No shortage of stories. Okay, David, you're up now. Do you have a song that you would like to share, and then you can talk about the chords that you selected? Were they the right chords in your mind, or do you think you're going to rewrite? But why don't you tell us a song that you've got for us, and then snub through it. Maybe share some of the lyrics as well, if you like.
This is a song I wrote. I think it was last week. It's called "Honestly," and I guess as a quick background, I started writing music when I kept on finding out that every time I went to counseling or therapy, I kept forgetting things that I wanted to mention during therapy. And I got really frustrated. So I wrote a song about all the things that I wanted to tell my therapist. And I played it for her. She kind of teared up. And then she apologized profusely. I was like, this song wasn't against you. This is got my own fault for getting to mention these things that I really wanted to get off my chest. And what it turned into was another therapy technique where every 2 months or 3 months, I'd walk into her office, play a new song that I wrote on maybe a topic or idea or something that might be bothering me or something I was working on or been mulling around in my head, kind of thing. It turned into another form of, working through things. Cool. This song, honestly, funny enough, everything that I write has a story, whether you think it has a story or not. There is a story going on in my head when I write it. The story that's in here doesn't have anything to do with me, but it's a combination of different ideas that kind of melded themselves in together to kind of come up with a story that I didn't even realize until I was in the middle of writing it, kind of thing.
Okay. So, anyway. All right. Let's hear it.
Get your crap and get out. I don't have time for your words and the hate that you seem to spout. There's a bus ticket next to the door, don't forget. I'm a loser, I'm a sucker, I'm a second place winner, but I'm honest. I'm a little bit disheveled, I'm a whole lot of chaos, but I'm honest. not a whole lot of words to say anymore. The sun's going down and the walk to the station is long. Don't you spoil this moment by leaving your lies at the door. I'm thick, I'm slow, I'm the last one who knows, but I'm honest. I might look lost in the clouds, not a foot on the ground, but I'm honest. While you're sitting on a bus, wondering what's wrong, let's be honest. So take the time and mull it over and think to yourself and be honest. I might be bawling and alone, the last one in the room, but I'm honest.
Right, David. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Talk about the process. How is it that you constructed this song? Was it lyrics first and then
So
chords?
this one was theme sort of.
Mhm.
So, and the funny thing is, a lot of times I'll go into a song with a theme or idea I want to write the song on, and maybe it's a word or um, maybe it's a like word tagline or whatever in my head, and then I'll go halfway through the song and realize I'm going off in a different direction with it, and
Funny
I
how that
like
is
this
sometimes.
direction. I
Yeah.
like this
Yeah.
direction, and I'm going to keep with this direction. That's why I'm going to do it. So when I wrote the song, I had a frustrating week in which I felt like people that I was working with weren't being 100% with me. And then I had a conversation with somebody about how like we're so busy we don't have time to make up crap or not be honest and then I thought to myself, a funny story in my background of how at one point I did have to take a lie detector, and the guy who administered it was like, "Do not go to Vegas. You're probably the most honest person I've ever met. You would fail horribly." So then that got started in my head, and so I was messing around with the guitar, putting the capo on different frets, messing with chords. A lot of it is you can use a C, G, D, these basic open chords to play the song. But there's another trick that I think Matt and Joe know about, and I've only heard it called as church chords, and that is holding the two strings on the third fret down while playing your top of your chords. So your G's, your C's, your D's, and all that. And so that's what I did for this song, and it adds a little bit of something different to the song. So you're not playing straight up flat open chords. You're adding something else to it. So like you were talking about, Tom, when you're like lift up a finger, add a finger, or whatever. Typically, what I look at is when I look at the chords, I look at, okay, this is a D. If I lift up a finger, this is a D something. So as long as the thickest string that's being played is a D, then it's a D something. You're just lifting up another finger below that thick string
This
to make it a D something else.
and I'll say this is if you want to clear the mystery up of it is a D something. If again, you might want to learn a little bit about music theory if it's that important to you. But if you're just going for feel, it's kind of like, yeah, it's a D something. Yeah. But if, say, for instance, here's one other thing you need to keep in mind, though, and this is kind of important. If you play this with a band, they're going to ask you, "What's the name of that chord?" So I can figure it out. So that's again, it's a songwriter's call. If you decide that I'm playing it for myself, I don't have to tell anyone. Versus I'm playing this with a band, and these musicians will likely ask. So there you go. That's kind of a food for thought for music theory. Anyway, yeah. Well, hey, David, thank you again for walking us through that.
One other thing that I wanted to suggest for these guys that are
Yeah.
messing around and they want to start writing and they don't know the name of every chord.
Mhm.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't know the name of every chord. So what I do is if I don't know, what that chord is, instead of me writing E or E minor on my notes or whatever, I'll just freaking number the frets. I'll put 0, 0, 1, 0, 2, 3 as the name of that chord that I just played, because I don't know what the name of it is right now, but I'll get to it later. But I like the sound of it, so I don't want to forget it. So I'll just number out the strings,
That works for sure.
frets.
Writing
So
it down is always a good idea. If you're able to come back to it later, at least you've got it written down. All right, I'm going to bring back the group here, our panelists here, because I would like to move on to the next section. And first of all, let's see here. I want to make sure I'm checking our chat feature. I'm not seeing any questions. I know that there's some enjoyment here by the group that are watching, and hopefully, you're all taking this all in. Um, let's move on to melody. All right, let's move on to, all right, now how do we put music to the lyrics that we've written? That's kind of like the question of the day. Now, I'd like to just, throw it out to the. You know what? I don't want to pick on any of you three. So if you have something to add to this, the question is, how do you do that? What do you, I mean, when you say, for instance, for your last song, how did you approach putting melody to your lyrics? So who wants to go first? All right, I'll go first. I'll go first. And then whoever wants to come in. So on this last song, the song that I opened the show with, it really came down to, in the geek that I am with music, sometimes I had to lean back on, you know, my piano experience, and I know in that A minor what notes I could actually use. So it's all the white keys, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And in that scale itself, I could go ahead and sit at a piano and then just kind of pick those notes out. Or on my guitar, I could actually pick A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. And then just mess around. It's almost like, as a lead guitar player, I can go ahead and use the pentatonic scale to kind of figure out a melody that way. So I'm using my instruments to create that melody, because I do not sing in the shower, and I don't sing in the car or anything like that. I need the instrument to help me with that. So maybe that's a crutch of mine. So that's how I did it. And then after noodling around like with the pentatonic scale or so, then I committed that into a recording, and then from that I was able to match the lyrics with the melody itself. So who wants
Yeah,
to go next?
I think a lot of it has to do with the words you're saying as well. Sometimes you got a line that you want to say, but it doesn't fit with the melody, so you have to find another way to say it. You can shorten a word. For me, I don't really think too much about melody. I try to say what I want to say, and then make it sound as good as possible. Basically, that's kind of how I do it. Like, it's all a feel thing. Like, if you're something, what's gonna fit, like, for me is like, I've been thinking back to 1984. It's just, you just play with that one line, and then it kind of all falls into place. And then, of course, when you get to the chorus, it's a little different. And so it's just one of those things where you have to play with it. And, like, there's a song that I wrote. It's called "The Most Beautiful Girl in the World," and I've had that probably 2 years now, and I'm still trying to figure out a melody for it that I'm going to be happy with, because it's an important song to me. So a lot of it is just, sometimes that melody is going to come really quickly, but it's all about just playing the guitar, singing that verse or the line of that verse that you want to, that you're trying to say, and kind of fill it out. And you might have to change a chord in that verse, or not play a chord, just stay in the same chord. It just depends on that. For me, most of my songwriting, I have something to say, so that's really the most important thing. And if it's felt, and you mess around with these different chords, you'll find the melody.
Cool. Thanks for the insight.
Yep.
Anyway, who else has something to add to this? Matt, go ahead.
So, the way I fell into this, I'll play like a verse and a chorus, but the way I kind of fell into it was just I was just kind of out mowing the yard, you know, and kind of fell into this little groove. It was like ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da, and I just kind of got that stuck in my head, and so I started doing it over and over, and I'm like, huh, I don't have words for this, you know. So it was like, okay, now I need to go back into the house, recorded it, so I actually have a voice recording on my phone of me doing a little beatboxing. It's horrible. But and then I grabbed my guitar and I was just like, and where's this, you know? And I was like, okay, so I mapped it out, and then it wound up being a sad sounding song, just because that's how I roll, you know. But it was a song. It kind of had drew a little bit of that kind of military kind of feel. But no, I mean, I leaned heavy on the minor chords. A minor, E minor, C, and then D. So
Okay.
it was like a started way back long ago on a day when it all began. Standing shoulder to shoulder with my brothers across the land, fighting back tyranny wherever we would go. Now we're haunted by nightmares that just won't let us go. Say, wait a minute, mister, can you spare some change for me? I'm just a broken down mangy dog with more stuck in my teeth. So just kind of messing with that little groove. But it
And
all
it started
started
out,
mowing a yard.
start with just with a melody. It started with a
Yeah.
melody in your head, no lyrics, right? So you took
mowing the yard.
and then you
And
ended
that
up taking the words and then kind of like tying those to the melody, or
Yeah.
so it's basically here's the melody you're hearing in your head, and then you're putting words to it in your mind as well
Yeah.
too. Awesome.
But it all kind of, I mean, the words didn't happen like naturally. It was,
Yeah.
as I was playing those chords, I tried to keep thinking that ba 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 da ba da ba 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 da ba, and that became how I wanted the words to hit in the lyrics. You know,
Cool.
hey, wait a minute, mister. You know, so it became kind of the what was it, the metronome. You know, for how I wanted the lyrics to fall into that melody. So it was pretty cool.
So as you can see from so far the examples that you've heard from Joe and Matt is that everyone can approach songwriting differently. This is how melodies are created. It's like there's no one rule. It's kind of this is how it happens. Sometimes I've got the melody or the lyrics already written. Sometimes I don't. Got the melody first. David, you have anything to add that you want to contribute to that?
So, I kind of do the same thing with all of that. The one thing, because I write around chords and all that, my melody, whether I realized it at the beginning or not, melody is the notes that you put in between the chords that you play. So if you are writing a rhythm of, C, G, and D, then you are probably coming up with a melody that's using a C, G, and D, but you're inputting notes to get to those chords. Basically, is what you're doing. So when I play a chord pattern or whatever, what I'm doing is I'm humming along and trying to come up with some melody that goes over the top of those chords, connecting them, almost like a mental, like, connect the dots kind of thing that I'm not really thinking about. This is just something that's happening subconsciously that I don't even acknowledge most of the time that I'm doing, but that's how it comes. And like, for example, Beatles did this all the time. If you really want to venture out and watch 7 hours of Beatles documentary, you can go to Disney Plus, and there's a documentary of how they wrote their last album, and you can hear them in the studio like, hey, okay, let's play this chord, and you can see John Lennon just like da 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 da, because they don't have the lyrics yet for the song, but they know that their pattern, their melody is going to kind of do this with it, so they're just adding da 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 does in there until they put in the lyrics for this part or this verse or
Yeah.
whatever, and
And
they're
I have
inserting
to,
it that way.
and I'll say that if you go back to Andrea's videos, she does that as well too. A lot of the da 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 da, and it's a nice foundation. Provides a nice foundation. Don't have the lyrics? Don't worry about it. But we can put a melody, idea in your mind, and then from that, just like how Matt was talking, it's like eventually you're going to get to that point where you're going to kind of create some lyrics for that melody that you created.
I was gonna say if you haven't yet, you'll probably see some T-shirts around that say, "All I need is a guitar, four chords, and some lyrics." That's sometimes all it takes.
Is that
Is
from the
just a
Salem,
few
Oregon
chords.
chapter of Guitars for Fighting?
Maybe I should make that T-shirt or that hat. That's for sure.
All right. Okay. So let's see. I am looking for. Everyone is just absorbing everything that we're discussing. With regards to the chord progressions, mixing up the chords. We're talking about melodies. Let's talk a little bit about, you know, like chord structure, or not chord structure, but song structure itself. So in the song itself, we typically find there's the chorus and the verse. Sometimes you'll have you know, a bridge in there. Sometimes, I got an intro, a specific ending, and all that stuff. But maybe we can talk a little bit about, we've got our songwriters who've created their lyrics, but how do you typically organize your songs? How is it that you structure your songs? For me, that song that I introduced, it was a couple of verses, and then a chorus. Then it was the guitar solo with a bridge in it, and then it closed with a verse, and then finally with a chorus. So those are some of the things that I did on that song. But who wants to share, maybe how you approach song structure with regards to verses and
For
choruses?
yeah, for me, it's just based on the song and how it actually starts to form. Like for me, if I have a really short verse, the first verse, and I don't feel like the story's told enough yet, so I'll do a second verse before I get to the chorus. I know you've heard that saying, don't bore us, get to the chorus, but you know that I think
I don't think I've heard of that one. Thank you. I like that T-shirt. There's a T-shirt or a song idea
yeah.
right there.
But for me, especially these days, what you hear on the radio, it's all like it's not, to me, it's not the best music, and they're really not telling a story. They're just talking about drinking beer or so for me, I'm more of a storyteller, so I want to make sure that I have this, that they're understanding the story till I get to the chorus. And sometimes it'll be one verse and then chorus, or sometimes it'll be two short verses, because the first verse is telling a certain part of that story, and then the second verse is the second part, and then you get to the chorus where okay, it all kind of ties together. Sometimes you just have one. And one of the songs that I'm working on now, it doesn't have a bridge. It just has three verses because I'm telling a story, kind of three phases of life, kind of thing. And it's not really a turnaround. It's more of just you're telling a story and there's no, like I said, no turnaround at the end.
And it's how the song was written. It doesn't always have to follow a particular structure. I mean, verse, chorus, bridge, that whole thing.
Yeah,
It doesn't have it. No, no. Songwriters create their own rules. Yeah,
exactly. It's your story.
yeah, exactly. David, did you have something to add? I see
Yeah,
you.
I was just gonna say, yeah, I kind of do that. The biggest thing as a songwriter, as somebody who wants to be a musician, now that you picked up a guitar, now that you've been learning for a little bit, you know how to play it, you know a few chords. Have you been paying attention to music that you like? What's their structure? Are they playing, are they starting out with a chorus and then swooping into a verse? Are they playing verse, chorus, verse, bridge, chorus? Are they, so looking at the songs that you are learning, whether it's covers or whatever, and acknowledging what they do for structure kind of helps you. Me, my favorite song to write is, I like to call it the M. Shyamalan, or Night Shyamalan's, song, where you write a song and your audience, your listener, thinks they know what the song is about. But that last verse throws it completely on its head. and you thought it was just about these couple having a good time, but then you realize that the chorus applies to something else, something maybe tragic, something that happened in the end, and you're like, oh, okay, so this was about this the whole time. I love doing something like that where you throw in a twist kind of thing in your song and can apply it in different ways. I think for a lot of us, especially if you're a solo guitarist, songwriter or whatever, you tell stories because you don't have the orchestra behind you and a 5-piece band or whatever. So people are going to listen to a guitar and they're going to listen to your lyrics and your song. So what's the story you're telling? Where are you taking them? Kind of thing.
Oh, good. And I know that if you go back to the lyric writing sections of Andrea's workshop itself, she talks about a different number of techniques from the start, setting the scene, for instance, you're in present day, setting up the scene, and then you go to the past and go to the future, or however you want to tell your story. But all of these techniques come into play when it comes to creating the song structure that you have in mind. Matt, do you have anything that you want to add to that? I know that you just posted something regarding a chord identifier, but
yeah, I was doing a little researching for everybody while everyone was talking. I've used this chord finder in the past when I couldn't quite figure out what do I call this. So when you click on the link, it brings you up to a fretboard, and you can just take the mouse and go over and click where you have your fingers, and below it'll give you a list of chords that it could be. So if you don't know, you could do something like that as well. So it's handy for me.
That's an awesome resource for sure. So I want to do. Let's see, which of you guitar players would like to do a demonstration for me? Who would like to volunteer?
I don't mind. I don't mind.
Okay,
Go ahead, Dave.
I'm gonna.
Oh, I don't care. Sure,
all right.
Tom, whatever.
All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Let me just bring this up right now. So here's what I want you to do, David. I'm going to share my screen here, and I'm going to bring up the song. Let's see. I'm going to bring up the song Country Roads. All right. Let's see here. Country Roads. All right.
Oh.
Here's what I want you to do. Now, here's what I want everyone to listen to. Actually, instead of playing G, actually, why don't you just do this? I want you to play, let's do the chorus. I want you to play just the 2 lines of chorus. Can you do that? Can you sing it too?
Sure. Country roads take me home to the place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads.
Cool. All right. All major chords except that one minor. Sounds what? Happy? All right. Now I want to do a side-by-side comparison. Instead of playing the G, I want you to play an E minor. All right. Every G that you see there is an E minor, and every C that you see there is an A minor. Now let's see if you can sing it. If you can still sing it, keep the same melody.
Okay, give me a second. I gotta go through a line first here. Did you try this already, Tom? I love this.
I did.
Great.
But
here's
how you heard the happy. Now we're gonna listen to it in a minor key. Let's see what it sounds like.
Country roads take me home to a place I belong, West Virginia, Mountain Mama, take me home, country roads.
There you go. Just that E minor alone.
Oh,
what does it do?
Great.
What does it do?
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
It's an awesome freaking alternate cover.
So
I might perform that.
Okay, good to know. Yeah, thanks, David, for doing that. So when it comes to the importance of chords, we asked you at the very beginning, how important are these chord progressions? Well, look what you could do with it. You could take the major, turn it into a minor if it's in the same key, and then take a listen. Does it move you closer to how you want your song to sound? Majors, minors. And then there is still the diminished, the sustained, the sevenths, the this, that, and the other. So all of that. So, no, God, I know this conversation can go on, and I'd love for it to, but someone's got to mow a lawn or something like that. I just want to remind everyone for next week. We've got a couple of songwriters that you may already know. You've got Jack Blaze, who is a U.S. Marine Corps and U.S. Army veteran, coming back with Derek Thompson of the U.S. Marine Corps. We're going to be covering the musical elements of playing with pauses, melodic motifs, and playing with phrasing. It all sounds so technical, but I believe we can break it down to a point where it's fairly easy to follow and understand. And if it's something that you can use in your songwriting, we'll talk about that next week. So that'll be next week, the 14th of June. And I'd like to encourage those individuals who have maybe written lyrics, maybe have put a melody to it. Maybe they can share some of that with us next week. Show your progress. We want to put the spotlight on those of you who have been working through the boot camp with us and creating that song. Let me do this. Let me first of all go around the room here, and I want to go ahead and see if you have any closing comments, any thoughts that might be helpful to this audience who are aspiring songwriters. Maybe a tip or some input, feedback. Joe, let me start with you. Is there anything that you would like to leave with this audience?
Sure. First, I just want to say thanks, Tom, for having me. This is great. I love my veteran brothers and sisters, and like Matt does and Dave, I'm always available. If you want to share my email, that's that's fine. Yeah, it's a process. I think being a songwriter is very therapeutic. I've never cried as much as I have until I became a songwriter. But that's why it's such an amazing thing. And then to be able to go share it with people, I mean, that's my goal, is to share my music. So just keep at it. Make sure you're jotting down notes. And like I said, if there's anything I can do to help, just let me know.
Joe, and I want to remind everyone that I interviewed Joe, I believe it was sometime towards the end of last year, and he went into his storytelling, into songwriting, his experiences in the U.S. Air Force, and just the career of music that he's taken. Highly recommend you checking that out on the G4V Cyber Chapter's YouTube page. Look for Songs Sung True with Joe Allen Christi. Thanks, Joe.
Thank
David,
you.
let me come to you now. Any closing comments, any thoughts that you'd like to leave with the group?
Hit like and subscribe.
Yeah, where's your music at? Where can we find your music?
So I am in the process, or I would like to eventually figure out how the whole recording studio works and getting into those to publish some stuff. But right now I applied to Operation Encore. We'll see what happens.
Good luck.
For the most part, though, I have a Facebook page. It's called David Welch's Music. I mean, very original name. Other than that, that's kind of it. And you can go on there. I do like a video log. I'll write some music, share it to people on Facebook or whatever. I'm not too crazy serious about anything. But with that, I would say for my closing remarks, I would say this. If you're looking at writing music as being daunting, like there's expectations, like how do I go about getting here and all this stuff? Compare music to other art forms like painting, poetry, writing a book, whatever. You writing music doesn't need to be this thing where if I write this song, how am I going to get it published? How am I going to be famous off of this when I perform in front of people? That doesn't need to be a thought process at all. This could be just your thing where you write the song and you just enjoy what you made, and that's it. Nobody needs to hear it. Nobody needs to see it. It's just something that you love, that you do, that's creative. like, you know, putting together a puzzle or at home or whatever. Like, it's a hobby. It doesn't need to be this thought process of, I want to be a professional. Now, if you do, cool. Totally do that too. But don't feel like you have to. That whatever you create has to be pushed out.
I guess it's the whole idea of having fun.
Yep.
It plays an important part in this. It's like why look at it as work, even though there is a lot of work that goes into songwriting. But make it fun. Make it fun for yourself. Thanks, David. All right, Matt. I know you've left some closing comments before, but I would love your observations of what is it that you're seeing out there from our crop of aspiring songwriters. What are you observing? And then from that, what do you think might be valuable to teach them next along this journey? Perhaps you can share that.
Well, so I mean, I would say first and foremost, thank you for having me back. I think
Oh, you
this is
bet.
maybe
It's
the
great
third
having you,
time.
man. Thank you all.
Um,
Yeah.
what I'm seeing a lot of out with everyone who's attending these is I'm seeing growth, and that's exciting. Um, you guys are putting ideas to paper. You're experimenting with the structure of a song. You're asking questions, and that's an important thing. You know, is I've been playing for 20 years, and you got to remain coachable. You got to remain teachable. I don't know it all, you know, and I pull on my resources like Joe and Tom and you know, just all the musicians I know. Um, and I would say that, you know, while I've echoed this in the past, you know, be patient with yourself. Um, get it all out. I mean, I was just mentioning to John that, you know, it's good to dump the rucksack. Okay, dump the ruck, lay it all out, and then you can start pulling from those ideas on what you really want to push, or what you really want to sing about, and that helps you kind of get a grasp on things that are implied. You know, if you're singing a love song to someone, the love is implied, right? Because of the melody, because of the lyrics that you're using, so you can really manipulate your lyrics in a way that everyone falls into this. You know, like they think you're talking about their relationship, you know, or a relationship that they had in the past. So yeah, get it all out and then filter through it, you know, dump the ruck. But I'm seeing a lot of growth, and it's exciting. Like, I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
guys, the hardest part is starting, and you guys have all started. So just grow through what you go through, you know.
Yeah. Thank you for that insight. So let me go ahead and close by saying this. We have two more workshops left. We have two workshops, and still, you know, a whole bunch of things to cover. I'd like to at least, you know, make it known that we're posting things on the G4V Learning Center that's supplemental to what it is that we're talking about. Hopefully, it's something that you're able to make use of. Keep posting, keep sharing your thoughts, questions, your comments, your demonstrations on the G4V Learning Center, so your fellow aspiring songwriters can go ahead and maybe make use of that as well too. In the end, it would be wonderful to have anyone who's written their lyrics, who's gone through this process, and give you the opportunity in 2 weeks to present, you know, what it is that you've created. Just similar to, you know, to what John did tonight. You've written a story, you've turned it into lyrics, you've created some loosely formed melody. We'd like to see you, you know, share that with us on the June 21st session, which is the fourth and final session. So I want you to all be aware of that. You might also want to check out on the Guitars for Vets website. Your Chords and the Truth is something that Guitars for Vets is creating a new program where it's a songwriter's retreat. And this is something that you might want to aspire to. If you're interested in continuing to pursue songwriting, look at the Guitars for Vets website for Your Chords and the Truth. It's under, I believe it's a tab for veterans, and you can read more up on that. But I'm planning on having a guest talk a little bit about that more in detail in a couple of weeks as well too. Our Director of Advancement, Nigel Fisher. And Paul Lilly will probably be with us as well. So anyway, enough said. There's a lot to cover in this particular session. The recording should be up in a few days. If you missed any part of this, look for it in a few days. And I want to thank you all again for giving it part of your Saturday. Hopefully it was entertaining as well as educational. We'll see you next week. Tom Lamog, Guitars for Vets. See you next time.